suggest old people in the description of what LinkedIn is. Don't worry, you're not getting
Don't be
tested.
afraid to ask questions, guys.
You're not
No
getting
questions
tested.
are wrong.
Yeah.
It's like a social media platform where you can connect with employers and other people that are maybe in your industry. And you can also do job searches on there and upload your resume, so you can kind of look for jobs, but they can also find you.
Excellent. Yeah, you should come and work for us. Yeah, that's really well done. So we're going to dive into some of those key pieces around LinkedIn, but more importantly, I'm going to tell you more about what LinkedIn can offer in terms of the data that we've pulled together. And I think that's going to be really exciting for you. Now, beyond LinkedIn, I'm a representative of lynda.com. Has anyone used lynda.com? We got 1, 2, 3. Okay. For those of you who've used it, can you explain to the class what lynda.com is? Don't be
The
scared.
second lady can.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
It's essentially like a platform where you can learn a lot of like different topics that are academically related, and then I'm pretty sure you can add that on LinkedIn once you get like a certain amount of like hours on the subject.
Pretty good, really close. Yeah, I love that. It was a good description. We're going to dive into this as well. Essentially, you all have access to lynda.com. The Ontario government signed a contract with LinkedIn to provide you with free access. All of the Ontario colleges and universities get free access to this platform. You get access to over 10,000 online courses. These are all free courses that you can take at any point in time over the span of 3 years. So we're going to dive into that, and we're going to talk about the connection between LinkedIn and Lynda. Before we talk about that, this is the question I want you to kind of ponder for a moment. Do you believe you have one true calling? Yes, sir.
Can you define what's a true calling?
Excellent question. Who can define what a true calling is?
The same lady over here.
Yeah,
Like something you feel you were like born to do, meant to do type thing?
beautiful. Do you feel like there's something you should be doing that you were born to do or meant to do? Yes, ma'am.
I would say yes and no, depending on the person. Mainly because I feel like now in this world, like people are doing more than one thing, so there is no like one true calling.
That's great. I love that answer. Yeah.
I think it could be like general, so like if you're a good leader, it could be like to be in a leadership position, but that wouldn't be like one certain job position.
Beautiful. So this is kind of going into the direction of where I'm going in my life. So I don't know if you've ever seen this YouTube video. It's from TED Talk. It's a woman who talks about being a multi-potentialite. Has anyone ever heard of this? A multi-potentialite. Yes, ma'am. Do you want to give me some details on that? I totally threw it on the spot.
So it means that you're like skilled or you have the potential to be very skilled in a number of different diverse fields.
Definitely. So there is this tendency, and I'm sure a lot of you got this when you were growing up. What do you want to be when you grow up? And that tends to box you into one trajectory. If you look at my life, and I'm going to show my LinkedIn profile, I literally went in like a million different directions. I did an undergraduate degree at York, followed by a master's. I then moved to a PhD. I worked on private security in the private security industry to do research on private security contractors in the Iraq and Afghanistan war. Then I trajectoried out into consulting, into the education field at Desire to Learn, which is a learning management software company, and then randomly ended up traveling for a year doing consulting work, and now I'm at LinkedIn. My trajectory was all over the place, but it was an amazing experience. And part of why it was an amazing experience is I just let myself go where my skills wanted to go. And that, for me, was curiosity. Where do I want to go next, and how do I want to get there? And hopefully you'll get something like that out of today's session. So, I stand by Dolly Parton, not a big country singer aficionado myself, really. Dolly kind of stands out around all country singers, but find out who you are and do it on purpose. That's the key. That's going to change consistently. So why LinkedIn for me? For me, when I started at LinkedIn, I think what's really invaluable to recognize is their vision. They want to create economic opportunity for every single person in the world. So you can create a LinkedIn profile no matter where you are in the world, no matter what status you have in the world. You'll be able to connect with people no matter what. So they really want to create that economic opportunity. For me, that was a key component of the thing that I was driven towards for most of my career. Okay? The beauty part of LinkedIn is that it enabled me to do two things that I want to highlight today. First, I connected with your teacher. Okay? okay, your professor and I connected. She reached out to say, hey, would you be interested? I'm like, yes, of course I'd be interested to come to the class. So we didn't know each other prior to today. This is the first time we're actually meeting face to face. I did the same thing with a recruiter at LinkedIn. I reached out, said, hey, you want to grab a coffee? Had a coffee. All of a sudden I got a job at LinkedIn. So it's a great platform to connect, okay? More than anything, it's really about that connection, okay? Connecting is what is most significant about LinkedIn. So, what you're doing in LinkedIn is essentially taking your resume and moving it away from this one-dimensional kind of marketing piece of paper to a 3D dimensional narrative of yourself, okay? You're basically telling a story. And that is the beauty of LinkedIn, because you can tell it in a multiplicity of ways. You can tell it in text, you can tell it in images, you can tell it in videos, you can use different diverse material and collateral to really showcase who you are. So I'm going to take a moment and show you mine, and of course I'm happy to get some critiques, but just to give you an idea of what a profile opportunity provides you with. So here's mine. Pretty standard in terms of my profile. I give my little description, but what I want to highlight is really the kind of information I'm able to showcase just in my experience at LinkedIn. Apologies, wrong click. Do that all the time. What you'll notice around here is it details of my experience, but you'll also notice all of the interesting and innovative projects that I've been working on. So I get to showcase all of my portfolio on this specific platform. And it gives me a space to share with everyone all of these different components of myself. One of the things I will suggest that you be aware of is the fact that when you apply for a job, pretty much recruiters and everyone else who's engaged in the application process, HR and so forth, they're literally going to go online first place, right? So 78% of professionals first search online for information about a new applicant. So basically LinkedIn is really your opportunity to identify who you are, what is your personal brand, and how you want to define yourself. And the beauty part of that is where you can define what organization you want to align with. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to just apply for every single job. You want to define who you are and then find the right organization that fits who you are. One of the key things about LinkedIn that I wanted to highlight and that I wanted to narrow down and bring to light for you is the fact that we have a lot of data. We have over 550 million members, and that is constantly being upped every 2 seconds, new members across the world. Now, looking at that information, what we're able to do is identify these key components. So when you're in, for those of you who've created a LinkedIn profile, what kinds of information does it pull from you? What does it ask you to put in? Education. Skills. Sorry? Anybody? I heard yes? No? Someone? Yeah. Interests.
Yeah, I was gonna say career interests.
Career interests. Location. You can get people to recommend you, right? Yes? If you post articles or like things. So we're starting to pull a lot of data. All of this data is essentially what we're doing in collecting members, companies. Not just you as personal individuals on LinkedIn, we have companies. We have company pages. I'm going to show you a fun page from Ryerson that you're going to find very interesting that's publicly available data for you. You're going to have skills, jobs, even schools, articles. All of this is populating what we're trying to create, which is an economic graph. We're pulling all of this data to map it across the world. And we're intending to use this data to give you insights. Here's an example from Ryerson. If you go onto LinkedIn, type in Ryerson in the search bar, you'll actually be able to see that you have over 160,000 people who are alumni from Ryerson on LinkedIn. That is a pool of potential people that you could potentially connect with just on the basis of being a Ryerson student. In addition to that, if you continue further, and again, this is public information, all you have to do is put Ryerson in the search bar in LinkedIn. You'll be able to find where they live, where they work, and what they do. Okay? This is really valuable data. How do you, I mean, I think so. Do you think so? Why? Why is this valuable data?
I can answer. Definitely, you know, if you're an alumni of a university, they always want to help you out. And so there's a connection right there. So all these areas that you're filling in, they're all areas that you connect in. And so alumni would rather hire their own alumnus to be in their jobs. And they'll be really, really keen on talking to you.
Anybody else want to add to that? 'Cause that was quite excellent.
Potentially guidance on, where, people you align with from post-secondary go. So like you said, if you go back, there's so many, like TD, almost 2,000 people from Ryerson now job at TD. So that's like huge data.
Definitely. So for your individual interests, this is available data to start to build out connections. Start seeking out people who are alumni from Ryerson in a particular industry, reaching out and asking them, hey, I'd love to connect. Maybe meet for a coffee or just quickly get some insight into how they got where they are today. Even more so, your institution can use this valuable data. We're identifying the fields of study. What are the trends? Where is a specific skill going? What is it going to look like? So this is really valuable data, I think, that both you and your institution can find. In addition, you can see the popular top skills. Just for Ryerson, just for these alumni, based on what they've identified as the top skills. Okay? We can dive even deeper. So one of the key things that you are probably recognizing, more so than I did, is that things change really fast, right? The need for a specific skill is constantly changing. If you knew how to do Microsoft Outlook in 2000, knowing how to do it now, being able to ramp up on those skills, being able to be adaptable and flexible, those are key. But skills are constantly changing. So the skills that you know now, the statistics indicate that in 5 years, those are going to change. And how are you going to keep up? You tell me. How are you going to keep up? Once you're done this degree, then what? You need to learn something. What do? Take a course? No one gets stuck in a YouTube spiral? Am I the only one who does this on a Friday night? You need to know something. What do? Yeah.
You specialize yourself.
Specialize yourself. What about Google? Anybody go to Google? Does anyone want to problem solve? You need to know something. You're done your school. You're at your job. Now you need to figure out this product, this software, this thing. What are you gonna do? Sorry?
Google it.
Google it. Ask colleagues. Take a course. Talk to your manager. Multiplicity of different things. What more and more companies are doing are offering opportunities for employees to professionally develop and continually learn because skills are changing so rapidly. And so one of our biggest clients are actually corporations, and they're buying lynda.com. Okay, we're gonna dive into that in a second. What we're able to do with the data and why LinkedIn opted to acquire lynda.com is pretty simple. They're able to identify, here are the skills that are in demand because companies are posting careers and job opportunities on LinkedIn, and then identify the skill supply. When people put on their profile what skills they have, what's the differentiator? Is there a distinction? Are there gaps? And there are. So the skill supply for recent grads, for an example, for this particular student, they had, and this is particular to computer science, but I'll focus on your areas in a second. They had these skills. And then the skills that were demanded, does anyone see any issue there?
Don't be afraid to answer, guys.
Yeah.
I guess they're missing 2 software applications.
Exactly. So from school, this is what they learned, but in the industry, this is what employers were looking for. So there was a gap. How do you fill that gap? Same type of idea is what lynda.com attempted to do 25 years ago, right? To develop professionally, to fill those gaps. You have an amazing opportunity to specialize in your degree right now, but you have to become a T student for the future. And what that means is you specialize, so you have your specialization, but then you use alternative methods of learning to become the team, to spread yourself across, learning all kinds of other skills that can be applied across different industries. And this is the place that we're suggesting you go to. You have it for free, so if you haven't jumped in at this point, I'm gonna direct you on how to log in so you can at least investigate it. You have, as I mentioned at the beginning, over 10,000 courses. These courses range from creative, business, and technology. So you want to potentially become, more apt at, coding, jump in. Maybe you want to learn management skills or get your PMP certification. You have pre-PMP courses in there. There are a ton of opportunities for you in here, and we're gonna showcase them to you in a second. I'm just gonna jump and dive in. So when you want to attempt to jump in there, because it is a free resource, you would go to my.ryerson portal. You would use your portal or what's the word that you all use? Your Ryerson credentials to log in and access it. And this is essentially what it will look like. You will have the opportunity to take courses, to watch videos, and to take learning paths. So I'm going to dive in. Anybody have any idea of something that they would want to learn? Don't be shy.
What do you think you're going to need when you get into your potential job and a skill set you might not have?
Yeah, ma'am.
Maybe like social media analysis.
Social media. I'm just lazy. All right, so we have 5,782 items, probably a lot to filter through. On the left-hand side, you'll see you can watch just videos. You can watch full courses. A learning path is basically a series of courses. You can become a professional at the end of that, a proficiency. And then we have what are called playlists. You can create a playlist. When I say playlist, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Exactly, right? It's like your music. You create a playlist of courses and videos that you want to go back to and watch and listen to at another point in time. The beauty part is there is the lynda.com app that you can download. So you can download these things and take them with you offline. You don't need to be connected to the internet at all times. Okay? I'm going to dive into this video as an example and just kind of have that playing in the background.
Information governance for social media. Some challenges of information governance for social media include content in multiple places. You'll have Twitter, you may have LinkedIn, you may have YouTube, and so forth. Identifying what's a record and what's a non-record. Development and implementation of retention and disposition schedules. How long do you keep that record? What is required by regulations?
What you'll notice about this is that you have a couple of options. You can put captioning on here, so it's really helpful if you want to slow things down or speed things up. I have a learning disability. This particularly helps me process the information. You'll also notice there's transcript, so you can jump from one section to the next, and the video will pop into that section.
But you have
Finally, you have this option up here to do a quick search. So you don't necessarily have to watch the whole course. You can search even within courses to find a specific item to help you, okay? So it's really easy to navigate, super convenient to take with you on the run. You can watch it when you're commuting. You can listen to it like a podcast. There are tons of opportunities in here that are available to you. Now, I'm not asking you to drink the Kool-Aid. What I'm asking you to do is consider for a moment that you have this item that's free, that you would typically have to pay a subscription of $400 a year to get. And since you have it for free, why aren't you taking advantage of it?
Can they put it on their LinkedIn profile and does it count?
I love you. You're just
Okay.
jumping the gun. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. All right. So, what we got now is this global leader in professional online learning, and then we have the largest global professional network. And when we put those together, we can get some really interesting data for you. Okay, this is the part that I really get excited about. And what I'm trying to kind of showcase in some of these examples is hopefully going to resonate with you. What we've seen basically is the top skills in the occupation of a marketing specialist as an example, and then what the in-demand skills are for a marketing specialist. So what we can do is identify, okay, these are all the top skills. When you put your resume together, when you put your portfolio together, when you create a LinkedIn profile, have these top skills. What's missing? And if something's missing, how are you gonna fill that gap? We're offering you lynda.com to do that. Okay. This one, fastest growing skills in a marketing specialist role, and then unique skills for a marketing specialist role. Does anything stand out that doesn't make sense, that you wouldn't necessarily get in a degree with marketing?
Nobody?
Yeah.
I would say one off the top of that is creative content production. That's not really something that we're taught.
Excellent. Yeah, you probably aren't, yeah.
Python stands out there as an odd one for marketing that doesn't tend to get touched in business programs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sorry, which one was that?
Python?
Python, okay. Is that a software?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, I think more and more what you're gonna see is needing the skills to be able to use HTML, any kind of web development. Those types of skills are becoming more and more paramount for all careers.
I think people actually involved in curriculum will need to look at this stuff to see what we should be teaching.
Exactly, yeah. So we have availability of this data, and I wanna share that with you. And again, I want you to consider this with a grain of salt, alright? So let's be critical and analytical about this. I said there's about 550 million members on LinkedIn. What would you say in opposition to what I've suggested, that all of that is really valuable data? Yeah.
That it's like overwhelming and that there's a lot of people that might have very similar skills to you.
Fair, good point, yeah.
How many of those are currently in use and how many of those are like spam accounts?
Excellent. Did everyone hear that one? So how many are currently in use? How many are spam accounts? How many of you lie in a resume? You don't have to put up your hand. Is there a possibility that people have lied on their LinkedIn? Sure. Okay, so we're being critical. We're being analytical. So let's pretend for a moment that out of the over 550 million members, half are kaput. That's still 225? 225, 550? Thank you. That's still 225 million, right? There's gotta be something valuable about this data. Yes? No? Challenge me. Feel free. I'm happy to do it. Yes? Maybe? Alright, let's try this one. Customer service specialist. Anything stand out about this? Do you get courses that specifically focus on these skills? Are there any skills here that are not captured in your curriculum?
We definitely don't have a customer service course, do we, in retail management? No.
Nothing at all? That's interesting.
No. Was there anything there about customer experience? I'm not wearing my glasses.
Yeah, no. On the service one, I don't remember if it's customer experience. I think customer service, customer experience are probably aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's look at product management. Is this something that interests some people? Product management? This would be something you'll definitely be looking into, I'm sure.
What's the top one?
The first one is product management, and then management, business, leadership, strategy, analytical skills, marketing, product development, sales, design, product management, planning, software, research, team leadership, communication, engineering, software development, and then company research.
And there's no data analysis in there.
No,
That's
not as
interesting.
the top 20. It might be the top 50.
Okay.
Yeah, just grab it into the first snippet. Yeah. Okay. Consulting, I'll give you access to all of these. So if you're not using lynda.com, here is an example of what your institution is doing. So we had a couple of hands who knew what lynda.com is. How many of you are actually using it from Ryerson? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people out of this room. Of the top skills being developed by Ryerson, and this is student, staff, and faculty, these are the top skills that they're actually taking advantage of within lynda.com. Okay? So that's design, Windows, Linux, web development, 3D videos, software development, Adobe Illustrator, logo design, and graphic design. And these are the top courses by total views. Okay? I like that we just got some interesting discussion here. Tell me what's going on. Yes.
To me, it's pretty obvious that like it's all like software stuff and like design stuff, and like this is just something that we're not really taught, and then out in the world it's like necessary. Like even in my internship we were doing social media marketing, or like e-commerce, and the only complaint that the manager had was that we didn't know HTML.
Anybody else? Yeah.
I would say like the top three, I think, would be Squarespace, if we're looking at that presentation, because we've done post articles.
Nice. Course space. So we're seeing at least evidence that there are some courses in Ryerson where they're considering, suggesting, or someone's going in and looking at Linda to supplement.
Was there any other courses that they wished you had, or skills that they wished you had in your internships? I mean, it might be in your papers, but I'm just wondering now, out of curiosity, that they wish you had. So
Excel, like elevated Excel skills.
Excel skills, so, okay.
Yeah, trust me, knowing Excel will benefit you, but I don't know Excel. And the beauty part is when I need to figure out how to create a pivot table, I just jump into Linda, check out the video, watch the 3-minute video, be like, oh yeah, that's right. Because there's only so much information that can stay in my brain. You'll know this as you start to get a lot older. You need to compartmentalize what you can reserve in there. And so that is really a helpful option. And as I mentioned before, more and more companies are going in this direction. So they want to provide you with professional development. So at LinkedIn, we're required to watch these videos as part of our professional development. This is the place where we're required to go to when we need support in building Microsoft Excel pivot tables, or if we are looking at potentially becoming a manager, there are management courses in there. If we want or need to deal with a particular teammate that is jaw clenching, there are videos on how to deal with communication issues and how to deal with team building and becoming better members of a team. So it's a really interesting piece of information I'd like to provide to you. One, that being that more and more companies are becoming our most important clients. More and more companies are seeing this as a value. Recently, Delta purchased Linda, basically LinkedIn Learning, and now on Delta flights, you can actually take courses. Because they're really trying to cater to professionals, being able to learn anytime, anywhere. Okay? So I imagine you'll see something like this, akin to something like this in your future career development. So as I mentioned before, that union between LinkedIn and Linda really comes in at this point with the certification. So once you take a course in lynda.com, you can, at the completion of it, put it on your LinkedIn profile, okay? A little highlight there, just to be aware of, is what, and I'm gonna just put it out there. When recruiters go on LinkedIn to search for people, what do you think they use?
Keywords, I guess?
Keywords? Filters? If you were tasked with finding people to work at your company, how would you try to find them in LinkedIn?
Algorithms?
Algorithms. So LinkedIn actually owns a software. We have a recruiter software that we actually sell to recruiters. And that software is used, an algorithm in particular, is used to churn through all the profiles, identifying things like skills. Skills is a big one. So if you're not noting the amount of skills that you have or highlighting those, you won't be identified as in that list. Certification is another component. So if you have certificates, that will give you a leg up in the industry relative to someone else. So knowing more about how recruiters actually recruit, a really valuable piece of information. You can actually go to the LinkedIn site for recruiter software and find out more about that. Actually, if you wanted to, you could probably purchase the software and find out more. All of the information is out there. So what can you actually do with lynda.com now? These are just some of the key courses that we found that students really find valuable. And some of those being your ability to actually go on lynda.com and learn about LinkedIn. There's an entire course dedicated to how to use LinkedIn. In addition, you'll notice there are tons of courses on how to be effective in an interview. Some good courses on job hunting, body language for leaders, communicating with empathy. So there aren't just courses on tech, although tech is probably one of our biggest libraries in the platform. There are a ton of other courses that you will find potentially valuable. Here is that course on learning LinkedIn for students. So if you are interested in creating a LinkedIn profile and you want to potentially get a certificate to add to that profile, this might be a good course to start with. It will go through the details of why LinkedIn versus a resume, and it will provide you with some quick tips on things to consider. For those of you who created a LinkedIn profile, what is the first thing that you think is valuable about that profile? What area? Yeah. Headline. Anybody else?
Skill sets?
Skill sets? Experiences? Photo.
Yeah, photo also.
Photo. A recruiter will not reach out to you if there is not a photo. Now, we can have a really good debate about this. I debate this with my sister all the time. Well, that might lead to, inequality or potentially, disregarding people because of this and that. Agreed. But the photo is one of the things the algorithm will pull on. Recruiter won't even look at you. And we have this kinds of data that we can help you, provide you with that information to ensure that your profile gets noticed as much as possible. In addition to that, your connections are key. As I mentioned earlier, the reason I'm here is because of LinkedIn. The reason I got to LinkedIn is because of LinkedIn. So it's a resource. It's a free resource. Another free resource. Why aren't you taking advantage of it? What?
Sorry, I was just going to say that if you could send me that link, that would be great, because we are going to spend one class really focusing in on LinkedIn and the profile, and I'm going to try going around and working with the kids on that.
I'll send you this session I do on rocking your profile.
Okay.
And it will give you statistics on each of the different components.
Okay, like I'm listed as an all-star.
Oh,
So-
nice. Yeah, you're good.
So is that the highest level you could be?
Yes.
Okay.
I've heard that most jobs or most job postings they don't even go out because people are hiring within.
Excellent. Does anyone else agree with that?
Yeah.
Some of you, yes? Yes? Has anyone received a job that way?
Yes.
So is this a problem?
Yes.
Why is this a problem?
That it comes from within.
No. That no posting is even provided. Opportunity isn't even presented.
It's not a fair, playing field.
Totally, 100%. It's totally not a fair playing field. The beauty of the connections is insight, not getting a job around the corner, not getting a job because you know somebody. It's about getting insight. And when I had that coffee, I got insight into the position. Insight into the position means you get a 3D perspective on what the position is versus what they wrote. How much can we all agree? There's a difference between reading something and then having a conversation about it. The opportunity is for you to connect with someone to have a conversation. I better understood what their needs were, I better understood what they were looking for, and therefore I was better prepared in my 4 interviews to get the job. Does that make sense? Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna give you a 5-minute break. Does that sound good? And then we're gonna have an open question session, and then I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and then I'll give you a quick little review of either LinkedIn or Linda if you so choose. But I figure a good bathroom break sounds like a good plan right now. Sweet. All right. See you in 5 minutes.